Alright, hey YouTube, my name is B, and I'm here to give you 10 tips for not really surviving high school, but I guess because I have a lot of friends who are in the 8th grade right now, or they just got out of 8th grade, and they're going to be freshmen next year, and I figured that it would be good for me to give them 10 tips for incoming freshmen. There's a lot of tip videos out there that are like, be yourself, but honestly, you can hear that anywhere. I'm going to give you 10 tips that you haven't heard. Tip number 1. It's not really a tip, but it's kind of like a duh thing. Stop buying like the 24 packs of pencils. This stuff that you don't need to buy all of that. Parents think that it's good to buy brand new sets of pencils and pens every year, but it's really like, you don't need all of that. Because by the time that it's like second quarter, you're not even using those pencils you bought. You're like, look, I found this pencil in math class. Because honestly, you don't really use the supplies that you buy. Like, they just go missing. It's like pencils and erasers, especially erasers and chapstick. I feel like erasers and chapstick have ninjas living inside of them, because it's like, right, you never finish an eraser, you never finish chapstick, they just kind of disappear. Tip number 2, when taking elective classes, when you're a freshman, you're gonna want to take a language. So automatically everyone's best guess is to be like, oh, I'm gonna take Spanish. Okay, that's a good idea. But there's a bunch of girls out there who think, oh, I'm gonna take French and it's gonna be the language of love and I'll find an awesome boyfriend. No, let me tell you, a bunch of girls have that plan. So, my tip for you, take German. Guten Tag, wie heißt du? But I'm really bad at that. So you think that French is like the language of love and you're gonna find a boyfriend, but honestly, boys take German because it's the manlier language. So if you want to be surrounded by guys, take German. A tip for guys is same thing, only you think that it's gonna be more manly. Be like, oh, macho man. You think that you're gonna be all manly if you take weight training. But if your school offers dance, which some schools actually do, take dance. Because then it's not really that you're gay, because I know a lot of people, okay, maybe the guys in my dance class, they have been gay, but the straight guys who do dance, you're automatically just girls are gonna be hitting on you, so. Tip number 3, PE lockers. You can like take the PE lockers, there's a bunch, you want to be next to your friends and whatever. Okay, that's cool. Okay, you see the lockers, they have a bunch, right? And then there's some that have locks on it. By the time it's your period, there's going to be like your turn to be in the locker room, there's a bunch of locks already. Go to the place with a bunch of locks. Because if you go to one and be like, oh look, there's no locks here, that means that no one took these lockers yet, there's going to be no one here, I'm going to take this lock. No, or that locker. Take the one with all the most locks, because that means that by the time that all those periods, all those lockers are taken in different periods. So by the time it's your period, your turn to be in the PE locker room, no one else is going to be in that area except for you, because those people are there in a different period. So tip number 4, the whole book cover thing, I'm going to tell you, just don't throw away like your 8th grade ones or something. Most people don't. But I'm going to tell you, don't worry too much about book covers. So book covers are dumb. You only need them your freshman year. The rest of high school, okay, so I've gone to multiple high schools by now. You only need book covers your freshman year. Other than that, it's like, it really isn't a big deal. I hope that you don't have to keep buying them past the 9th grade. Tip number 5, if it's cold, don't continue being cold. Do something about it. Okay, stealing is wrong, but if it's cold, and there's a necessity, you go to the lost and found. Campus supervisor told me this in like 7th grade, so props to her. And people have jackets there, and they sit there for like months. So you might as well, if you know that jacket's been there forever, and it's cold, and they're not claiming their jacket when it's cold, if they're not doing it, you might as well take it. And another thing is, if it's cold, don't have shame. I personally, I go to the nurse's office when it's cold, and it sounds bad, and people are probably going to talk about this if they see it at the school. Go to the nurse's office if it's cold and say anything, just so that I can be like, my head hurts, but then I'll go to the nurse's office and then I'll just get a heating pad and I'll just sit there with it, be like, ah. Like really, it doesn't, I don't think they've never stopped me before. Like, nurses' rooms have heating pads, utilize them if you're cold. Tip number 6. The opposite of tip number 5 is, if it's hot, do something about it. So again, as I said, with the nurse's office, have no shame. So if it's hot and you're thirsty, because you're in high school, you're always going to be thirsty, and there's a line for the water fountain, don't wait for the water. I'm not saying push them out of the way. Here's the tip. Tip number 6 is just know water from the water fountain is the same water that comes from the school sinks. School sink water, water fountain water, same thing. I've done it, my sister's done it. You just get your water bottle, and I know people, they fill it up on the water, the water fountain. You can do that with the sink, and people are gonna be like, ew, why are you doing that? It's the same water. And if you're really hot, it will not matter. Tip number 7. Okay, so when it comes to that whole thirst thing, realize that there's the desperate people who drink school water. There's the not desperate people. They don't care who you are. They're gonna ask you for money to go to the vending machine. Let me tell you this. They do not pay your quarters back. If you're gonna give it to them, do it out of your good heart. Tip number 8. So what I need to tell you guys is tampons, pads, these things. Something that you can do to keep them discreet. You think that it's smart to hide them in your backpack. You have to realize that if you're not wearing like a long sleeve shirt, you can't really be discreet because normally you like hide it here where your sleeve is. Something that I learned from a girl in drama is that she puts it in her boot. Boot? You can like put it next to your foot and just, it's probably not the kind of boot you want to put it in. I don't own nice boots because I have fat people legs. Yeah. Tip number 9, my favorite tip, is actually something that I use all the time. It's how to sleep during class without getting caught. People, they put their head down. No, if you put your head down, teachers are gonna know you're asleep. So something that I would suggest is you get your binder and you put it on your chest, and you can lean forward onto your desk, and then you sleep. You can still completely relax. You don't have to be like the whole time because you can relax because you're leaning against a binder. But the thing is, other than your eyes being closed, you look pretty awake from the back. So if you're seated in an area where your teacher is behind you, you can like lean against your binder and you can fall asleep. Tip number 10. You're gonna need a squad, a friendship. No man is an island. What you do is you may be thinking that this is going to be a really dumb tip by the word that I'm going to use, but I can break it down for you why it works out. The equation to make that happen is beauty, intelligence, talent, charisma, beauty, intelligence, talent, charisma, and hot chips, hot Cheetos, munchies. Just the H, it stands for hot chips. You know that the cool people have these. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but if you really don't know how to make friends, bringing gum, sometimes teachers don't like that, but there's nothing wrong with bringing chips. So those are my 10 tips for incoming freshmen. This is my first YouTube video on this channel, so I'm hoping that you'll like, subscribe, leave a comment telling me what you want to see, or what I could have done better in this video. I'll see you next time. I hope that this all goes well and that there will be a next time. Okay, bye.